Hey everyone, welcome to musictheory.net with Miss Phelps. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Today we're going to talk about intervals. We're going to talk about specific intervals and generic intervals. And I am just going over this lesson that is on musictheory.net. And you are welcome to go back and look at this if you um, don't understand what I am saying, but it's exactly the same thing. So we're going to talk about generic intervals first of all. I'm going to read through this and hopefully explain a little bit more. But a generic interval measures the distance between two notes. So we're talking about how many lines and spaces are between two notes. We will first discuss generic intervals. They're measured on the staff. When two notes occupy the same line or space, they are a first apart. And looks like this. C to C is an example of a first. These are also examples of firsts. Accidentals, which are sharps and flats, they're ignored when you measure generic intervals. Only staff positions matter. So from a C to a C sharp, we're just going to call that a first. We're just talking about generic ones. We don't really use this, but this is just for you to get the hang of it, okay? As the notes become further apart on the staff, the interval type increases. There's a second because you are starting on a line and going up to the next space. Remember, when you count these, you never skip a line or a space. Okay, from a C to an E, it's a third. You can count C, D, E. You can count C, D, E, or line, space, line. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Note that thirds will always share the same staff position type. Either they're both on a line or they're both on a space. Fourth is the same thing. You just count 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Okay, those are generic intervals. And here is this chart to help you. An interval can start anywhere, so it doesn't always have to start on C. Okay, now I'm going to go back and we're going to go to specific intervals. Okay, this is really helpful to show you on a piano. Specific intervals are measured both on the staff and in half steps on the keyboard. So we're really going to be talking about half steps here. Remember, a half step is one note to the very next note. Most of the time it's from a white to a black key or a black to a white key, unless you are at an E to an F or a B to a C. Okay, as you learned in the previous lesson, C to D, from C to D on the staff, from C to D and C to D flat are both generic seconds. Specifically, however, C to D is 1/2 step larger than C to D flat, right? So here's how we tell those apart. We're going to talk about major intervals right now. There are two kinds, major and minor. Okay, so a major second is made up of 2 half steps. From C to D is a major second. It has 2 half steps. From here to here is 1, 2. Okay, E to F, E to F sharp is a major second. 1, 2. A major third is made up of 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. C to E, E to G sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. A perfect fourth is made up of 5 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. A perfect fifth is made up of 7 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'll let you do the counting. B to F sharp. A major sixth is made up of 9 half steps. E flat to C is also a major sixth. A major seventh is made up of 11 half steps. Okay, and finally, a perfect eighth or an octave is made up of 12 half steps. You're playing a C, you're playing a C. The terms of major and perfect refer to the interval's quality. Only seconds and thirds and sixths and sevenths can have a major quality. Firsts and fourths and fifths can only be perfect. Okay, let's talk about minor intervals. Okay, a minor interval has one less half step than a major interval. For example, from C to E flat, C to E flat is a minor third. C to E is a major third. C to E has 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. C to E flat has 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. So minor, major. It will on the staff look the same. 1, 2, 3. That's a generic, it's a third. But now to decide if it's a minor or a major, you have to count the half steps. E to G is also a minor third since there are only 1, 2, 3 half steps. Since minor intervals transform from major intervals, only seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths can be minor. So you can't have a minor fourth, you can't have a minor fifth, or a minor octave. You will never, ever see those intervals. Okay? An augmented interval has one more half step than a perfect interval. Since C to F is a perfect fourth, C to F sharp would be an augmented fourth. And that is one of the weirdest and most jarring intervals. And that is why trains use an augmented fourth, because they want to make sure you know they're coming. So a train whistle is usually an augmented fourth. F to B is also an augmented fourth. Major intervals can be augmented by adding a half step. Okay, from C to A sharp is a augmented sixth. Has 9 half steps. D flat to B is also an augmented sixth. Okay, usually we call this a minor seventh, but it's the same thing. A diminished interval has one less half step than a perfect interval. Since C to G is a perfect fifth, C to G flat would also be a diminished fifth. B to F is also a diminished fifth. A minor interval can also be diminished by subtracting a half step. Recall that C to B is a major seventh, 11 half steps, and C to B flat is a minor seventh, 10 half steps. C to B double flat is a diminished seventh. This chart shows the relationship among the different interval qualities. And this chart shows the number of half steps that each specific interval contains. This chart right here will be a really good one to use in the worksheet that you are going to do. Okay, we're going to start off with major, perfect, and minor intervals only. So please don't worry about diminished and augmented, but you have a little bit of a background. Okay, please feel free to go over this video or go back and look in musictheory.net. You would go to lessons, you would go down to specific intervals and generic intervals. Those two are going to give you the most help. Generic is pretty easy. Specific intervals, when you get down past this one. Oops, actually when you get down past minor. The augmented and diminished are more complicated, but we're just going to use major, minor, perfect, and octave for now. Okay, so good luck. Please let me know if you have any questions.